Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of ATL on Fire. Dave,
hallelujah.
It is just you and I this evening. I am unfortunately in charge of buttons and computers as Carmen vacation somewhere tropical or something. I don't know. We're in trouble.
Do you think Carmen made the right move fleeing the city, just in time?
Well, I did just get back from vacation, so I can't complain.
Oh.
So
it's only me who's
You've been busy working. I've seen some tweets on some good stuff happening on your front.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I caught some fish.
Nice.
Some spot tail, or they call it drum, redfish. I don't know. It's a lot of different names for the same fish.
Very nice.
Scored. And then, believe it or not, there were waves at Folly Beach because of Hurricane Fiona.
Whoa.
And I feel really old and out of shape, but there were absolutely perfect waves coming in on the East Coast.
For those of you out there, dear podcast listeners, who don't know, Mikey Dobbs is an avid surfer. He can really ride the wave.
It's been a while, and the older I get, the harder it becomes to say I'm avid.
Fair. Well, that's true of it all, right?
But I think we've got some audio playing in the background here. Let me pause that as we get going here. And we've got a 4-game recap, Dave. So we have been slacking a little bit. We've got a loss against...
Yeah, it's been forever.
A loss against Portland.
Yep, 2-1.
A home game. That Portland game was on the road.
Yep.
We won against Toronto 4-2. You and I were at that game. A fun game to be at a high-scoring game, and that in our favor. We beat our friends down in Orlando, which is always a bonus, no matter what. 1-0.
Oh, the Micky Mouse Club.
Yeah, and then we hosted Philadelphia for a very important match that didn't go our way.
Nope.
It looked like the second half, particularly, we had some really good opportunities on frame, but couldn't close the deal and get an important 3 points to really keep any chance of a playoff berth.
Yeah, it looked like we might do it, but we didn't.
No. So that leaves us very, very much on the outside looking in statistically, as you pointed out. We can pretty much...
I'll go through that maybe after we go through the games.
Yeah, do some different types of Vegas parlaying, but it doesn't look good.
Yep.
I don't even know what that means because I never gambled. I've never been a sports gambler.
No, neither have I.
I like gambling like blackjack and craps and stuff like that, but sports betting, like, I don't know. That's just...
I like going with my friends to gamble. I get the free drinks. Yeah. Does that count?
It does. That's half,
I also like the shows.
It's half the fun. I mean, just going to watch people play craps is fun. You don't have to play. Just have some beers. So, what do you want to get into first, right? So we're just at this point praying for the chips to fall in the right place. Well, not possible, but possible. It looks like maybe we won't have a real fire here at ATL on Fire, which is a little
not
depressing.
Unless we make the playoffs, which doesn't look promising.
So Portland, what are your quick thoughts on that
first, let's
loss?
start.
Oh yeah, sorry,
You've gone right through it.
We have a Hess Select. I think we've had this before. No?
Oh yeah, I brought it more recently, and it started our upswing. So not that we're superstitious here on the fire.
Yeah, but Hess Select is a super solid cab.
It's terrific.
2018,
and I was bringing some fancy Barolos and some other things. It kept changing it up. We kept losing. And then finally I brought the Hess and we won. So here it is, Mikey Dobbs, Hess again.
Cheers.
Those who think that the wine bringing is random. So I have a stat that I'd like to start with Atlanta versus Portland.
Hit me.
Okay, so do you know how many penalty kicks Portland has had this season?
Oh, boy. Let's go with 7.
That's, in the ballpark. They've actually had 11.
Okay.
11 penalty kicks, 10 of which they've converted, which just brings us to our beloved Atlanta United. How many penalty kicks has Atlanta United had?
I feel like we've had a good number as well. I'm going to put it in, since you said there was 11 for Portland, I'm going to throw our number out there at 12.
Okay, the answer is 2.
We've only had 2 penalty kicks all season?
As of the Portland match. They had 11,
No.
and we've had 2. One of which we converted, and the other one we didn't convert.
Are you sure that's right?
Yeah, we've had a penalty subsequent to that. But in that game, they brought it up, because I was listening to it on the radio, and I checked it.
Wow.
It's all right. So, Portland scored on a penalty kick in that game, and they beat us. They've converted 10 out of 11. So we have...
Was that, sorry, just to clarify, was that 2 heading into the Portland game or current?
That includes the Portland game.
That includes the Portland game,
but
not the subsequent.
Okay, we got one more penalty, which Araujo missed.
Yeah, and we
now we're 1 for 3.
Called that one real time.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that. We're just trying to ignore that one. Thanks for bringing it up, Micky Dobbs.
You're welcome.
So we're now 1 for 3. But here's the thing, right? I find this to be an incredibly damning stat, right? Because if you have Araujo, and you have Almada, and you have Martinez, right? And you have Moreno, right? And you're going through the middle like you should be doing, and they're dribbling in the penalty areas. We should be towards the top of the league. You know where we were in the league going into that game?
I don't recall.
That's last.
Yeah.
2 penalty kicks was good enough for last.
Oh, as far as penalties, yeah.
In terms of the league.
Yeah, having 2, that certainly sounds like we'd be last or
last.
tied with last.
How can this team be last with the kind of dribblers we have, Micky Dobbs?
It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's a totally, there's sometimes these stats that just jump out at you that say, like, we're going about it the wrong way. Because even if you're doing anything right, even if we're playing crappy football, you would think occasionally one of those guys would run in the box and get fouled.
Explain this to all the fans out there that say it's just the players not getting it done, or it's the players that just don't have the talent right now on the field. Regardless of talent, right? Like, even to increase that stat, depending if you're going to play the aggressive soccer Atlanta United is wanting to brand itself as,
right,
you need to get that stat up, right? And so that's an indication of what? Like, what is the coach getting wrong there?
It's an indication of you not being, in their penalty area a lot. And what's interesting is, so Atlanta United has, I think, I'm not sure if it's true still, but for a little while, I was the last couple of league games, we were leading the league in shots, and we were creating all kinds of, we had a lot of crosses, right? And it just says we're shooting from outside the box, we're crossing from outside the box, and nobody's penetrating into the box, either dribble or passing. That's how you get the penalty kicks. Yeah. You don't get penalty kicks if you're shooting from long distance.
Right.
So to me, that is an incredibly
sad. Sad. It's discouraging and sad.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good one. What else you got from Portland?
Well, I don't want to say that much about it. The only other thing I have is that, we're 1 down. I don't know. I think it was like the 60th or 70th minute, somewhere in there. The substitution, Micky Dobbs. Who do you want to bring on for Ibarra in that case? So you're bringing off a defensive midfielder.
Are we losing at this point?
Yeah, we're losing 1-0. Who are you going to bring on?
Ibarra is on the field, you're saying, and who we're going to bring on to? Well, you certainly would want Moreno, I think, if you're looking at pure attacking. And as a second choice, I would go Josetu. But
I would have said Moreno.
But Moreno is my first choice, right? I mean, the guy.
You want to know who he brought on for Ibarra?
I think Amar Sedek started that game, so I'm not sure that he came on, right? Or did he bring Amar Sedek in?
He brought on Amar Sedek. Yeah. That was the beginning of his run.
Okay, well...
But why do you bring in Amar Sedek, who hasn't scored a goal all year, when you're down 1-0?
I have no idea. My feelings on Amar Sedek. But I will say, at least, out of the picks, like, his better traits are at least going forward.
Yeah.
Doesn't play defense worth a lick.
His defense is terrible.
Even had a good shot in that Philadelphia game, but doesn't get it done. Stats are stats, right? So why do you put him in?
I don't know, especially when you have the guy who is our leading scorer, right? And actually, I can jump to another note that
leading scorer and our most fouled player, who all of a sudden
I was gonna say he was a leading scorer certainly over the first third of the season.
Who all of a sudden just stopped getting playing time. I don't get it.
Yes, so this is
for Amar Sedek. Crazy.
Yes. Just trying to find. Yeah, so
like unless there's something going on behind the scenes where Moreno is boink somebody's wife or something.
Right.
I don't know. Like, what's the reason? Because it's again the stubbornness from Pineda, the same way he's been stubborn to start Joseph Martinez. Like he's got give him credit. He's sticking to whatever is in his head, but it's not consistent up until the last
last three games. We'll get to in a minute,
which we'll get to. But it's the wrong formula.
I think this is perhaps. I'm going to go even further than you and say this is perhaps the greatest evidence of Pineda's incompetence, right? And I'm going to go with it. It has to be incompetence, right? Because during the early part of the season, there was only one player who was ever present, right? Who played every single game, right? And that was Moreno. He was the leading in minutes or whatever.
And Alan Franco. Probably.
Yeah, and Pineda literally wouldn't sub him off the field, and he led the team in minutes by far. He was even above Alan Franco, right? And now in the final third of the season, Pineda literally won't put him on the field, period. Right? So what in the world, barring, what you just said, could have possibly justified such a wild swing in such a short period of time?
I don't know. You would have to think, right, he's seeing something at practice, right? And Pineda is so onto this, passion and da-da-da. And maybe there's something missing from Moreno from a practice standpoint. I don't know. Like I'm just itching at what it could be. But if
something was missing in practice, how could he be playing every single minute over the first third? Like it was there in practice and then it stopped? That's weird. It's one thing,
It's very weird.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing sometimes to go the opposite way. You're like, the guy's not doing it in practice and he's starting to play better. You give him a chance, he, succeeds and then whatever. But when you're playing him all the time and he's actually scoring, right, more than anybody else. We're not scoring a ton of goals, but more than anybody else. It seems like it's just wildly flailing about, right? And I feel like, we've talked about it a little bit, but if you quote unquote fix something, which some people think maybe Pineda has over the next 3 games, we'll get to those lineups, but you don't really know why or what it is that you fixed, right? Then it's not going to stay fixed for long, like he does, because. So I don't understand that, right? I don't understand when you're down 1-0, bringing on Sadik, who hasn't scored a goal, and leaving Moreno on the bench, who has scored goals. And I don't understand how the guy is playing every minute in the first third of the season and can't get on the field at all.
I mean, the Moreno not starting and Amar Sadik starting has literally made me mad. I've never gone after coaching like that whole thing is just made my head spin.
Because even if you say, like, all right, let's say he's just sloughing off in practice, right? And he's just not doing well, and you're just like, and you think, or maybe you think Sadich is doing so much better in practice or whatever. You still got to think, all right, so he's still part of your squad, right? And even if the guy's like that, you're like, look, dude, until you start playing whatever, I'm not putting you in the starting lineup. No way. That's your punishment, right?
Yeah.
But you're still going to, even in that case, you're still, if he can score a goal, you're still going to throw him on with 20 minutes left in the game and see if he can get a goal, right?
Yeah.
There's no reason not to do that. You're not sending the wrong message by doing that, because you're still sending the message. You're not starting him. And you're like, I'm never going to start you until you play well.
I truly do not get it. Like, it's been one of my biggest pet peeves of the last, how many games has it been? Since even before the Portland game, though, Moreno was getting benched, though, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little bit before that. It's the last third of the season. He hasn't seen the field.
Yeah.
Period. And I'm like, what happened? And, it just speaks of a coach who doesn't really know what it is he wants, right?
It's pretty simple. Moreno is an extremely talented player. You have to put him in the top 5 of all the players in the field that have true skill set, right?
Sure.
There's parts of his game that can be frustrating, but particularly towards the end of the season when we started getting healthy again, you got Sosa back, and you've got the option to bring in Joseph on as a starter. You've got Almada and Araujo. Oh my goodness! Like, how do you not figure out a way to get that guy in the field as well? And I get it. Like, you don't want people clogging other people's spaces, but you started to see Pineda play Araujo out left on his natural left, and you could play Moreno out on his natural right. Again, that leaves Almada in the center. I mean, you're not playing Joseph up front, even though you should be. But even with those three, you got Araujo and Moreno as true forwards, and hopefully Joseph is a striker, and Almada coming in right behind them. Again, that's your mama.
Okay, well that takes us. Let's skip to the next game then, and the ever-present lineup now. So for the first time all season, we've gone 3 consecutive games with the same lineup. Right? It's Godinho in goal. It's Raul Hernandez at right back. Parata and Franco in the middle. Gutman on the left.
Eros Compollo, man, that was Portland.
Yes.
Yeah. So we jumped past that. Sorry. So
yes.
That is the time when, and I'm sure Joseph probably is feeling it too. It's time to flip the table and ask, why are we being fed this chicken and rice?
Right.
And
so for those who don't know exactly, it's being called the Arroz con Pollo incident, right? So after the game, Joseph Martinez loses his mind and goes into the dressing room or the whatever area, and he flips over the table of food with all the rice and whatever, and that's the last straw for Pineda. He's yelling at him. Martinez is yelling back, and Pineda suspends him for a game.
Yeah. And again, you're looking at Joseph Martinez, the guy that they want to talk about putting a statue outside of the stadium. And during the most important stretch of games, you don't even give that guy a chance. And we talked about that before. You don't give him a chance to say, hey, you are the unquestionable captain and leader of this team in terms of your name, your number, your history, and you're supposedly fit too, right? Like, he's saying, I'm putting in extra time after practice. I can go 90 minutes.
Yep.
People say, oh, you can't go 90 minutes. Well, I'd rather see him get the opportunity when at that point in the season, Cisneros wasn't like crushing it by any means.
Right.
It again is one of those things you could see why it boiled over into maybe Martinez saying, hey, why aren't you starting me over Cisneros, a guy who's totally not proven, a guy that, is not the name behind the franchise. And you've got Moreno, who you started all season. He's also being mentioned. Probably all this stuff is going through Joseph's head.
Yeah, so I have to point out that so I was criticizing that sub, right, because that's the first sub. They're down 1-0, critical moment, and he brings on Sejdic, which I just scratching my head about. After that, Portland scores again to make it 2-0. He does then bring on Moreno and Martinez, and we score, Micky Mouse, in the 88th minute, right? I mean, Martinez, has had a habit now coming off the bench. He's scoring pretty regularly, right? Which means maybe he could still score.
Right. And then, but all the other people out there are saying, oh, well, maybe it's because he's coming on in the 70th minute and doesn't have the wheels to go 90 minutes, and Pineda's a genius. Probably not.
I think not.
I think not, too.
All right.
I'd rather see him go 70 minutes and then pull him off and give a Cisneros or Dom Dwyer a try, which makes a hell of a lot more sense.
So let's go with our what we're calling now the magic lineup, since we've stuck with it for 3 games, and Pineda says this, he's got it all.
Which, by the way, I loved out of the back.
Yeah, so Godinho in goal, Hernandez at right back, Parata and Franco in the middle, and Gutman out left. Which, as we're talking about, that was our starting back four from the beginning.
Rewind, people. We love that back line.
Yeah. I mean, and I think there's two big changes here, right? So one is Rios Novo, God bless. We were calling on for ages to switch. He finally made the switch. And, he made the switch, and a lot of things have changed, even just in the goalkeeping, right? So, probably actually, if you look at the last 3 games and some of the modest success we've had, some of it you can literally just pin on switching the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Right? We stopped giving up some crappy goals.
And
right?
And you can see it. I mean, even as a fan, like just seeing a guy that's 6'4" in goal, like I just am like,
yeah,
it's just a little bit. Better. It's a little bit of a, it's like they're not going to score so easily on a free kick or a cross.
Yeah, and I'll get to one play. We won't show the highlight, but where Rios Nova would never make the play, and Godinho makes a terrific play. But anyway, let's keep going through the lineup, right? So he's playing 3 in the center of the midfield, I think sort of in a diamond. Sosa is at the base of the diamond or a defensive midfield. And then the front 2 are Sejdic and Almada. We all know what you feel about Sejdic. And then he has wingers, so he has Brooks Lennon and he has Araujo, who's been more or less no longer inverted, which I don't know if we've mentioned that over the course of the podcast. Mikey Dobbs, have we mentioned that?
We've talked excessively at the beginning of the season in the first many episodes about why not put Araujo on his natural left.
We said, okay, why play Rios Nova? It should be Godinho. We said Hernandez, the only guy who defends, and we'll get back to in a second. He should be there instead of Brooks Lennon. We said Araujo should be out left. He is. And we said we absolutely need to have Sosa back, which we finally have gotten back. Yep. And that's not Pineda's fault. He was injured or whatever. Then
maybe. I don't know. Like, I still would have rather seen Sosa earlier. Because I still argue if he's on the bench, if any player in any league is on somebody's bench, that means they're capable of playing.
Yeah.
Which means you're being overly conservative at a critical point in the season when we needed minutes from Sosa. So I still think that's a mistake too. I don't care what anyone says. Should have seen Sosa in critical games, Dave.
And we said, or I said, that Dom Dwyer could score during the year. But I said if we ever...
I didn't believe that, but
yes,
proven wrong.
And I said if we ever started him continuously, we were in big trouble. So he's been the starter.
Yeah, but everybody else can say, Dave, didn't we win during that stretch?
I know, that's what I'm saying. You know, maybe I was wrong about that. But what I'll point out, though, is when he started in all these games, he hasn't scored.
Right.
So...
and that's a real problem in this type of team.
Yeah, well, it's not good.
I mean,
you don't want to have a striker who's starting and doesn't score.
It's one thing if he's starting, right, Dave, and other people around him are scoring buckets of goals. Means if he's got good movement and he's creating for them, and we score like 3-4 goals a game, right? Like, I'm okay with that, right?
Yeah,
like that's a good formula. But if we're like just squeaking by with a goal and you know, getting kind of meh wins.
Yep.
It's not the formula.
So we score Parata in the air, 47th minute. They return and score in the 52nd minute. We score Parata again through the air in the 62nd minute. They score back in the 67th minute. We can't hold the lead for it. So we just swap 2 goals, right? And then Almada breaks the deadlock with an absolute unbelievable goal, right?
Yeah.
You know, he's dribbling towards the top of the box and he just hits a cannon right in the top corner, right? So we go up in the 74th minute, okay? And then we ultimately, Parata on the 3rd headed goal scores in the 88th minute. I want to set that tone up because I'm going to come back to it in just a second, right?
And which game is this?
This is Toronto. We win 4-2. Okay, so let's see if we can pull up the photos.
Oh, you want photos.
Yeah.
All right, look at you.
We have a new segment on the podcast that we're trying. So Mikey Dawes and I were at the stadium, and I have often said that, you know, in the highlight package on the film, you can only see a certain amount of the field. So, you know, I figured, okay, I'm going to pull out my cell phone and take some wide-angle photos, right? And, you know, hopefully you can see it a little better than we can. If not, we'll try to set the stage. So here, the first photo is actually the kickoff, right? And Toronto is in an absolutely very, very clear 4-3-3 with Bradley sitting at the base of their defensive midfield. When you look at our kickoff, now granted we're doing our silly kickoff play, but just to say, if you want to say, a lot of times when you freeze the kickoff, you can see what formation the team is playing, right?
Yeah.
So we have 4 players along the center field line. So technically it looks like we're playing 4 up top. We have 2 players behind that on the right. We have 1 player on the left, but he's not actually in line with that. And we have 2 guys, center backs, playing all the way in the back, standing by themselves, right? So it looks like a 2-1-2-4, Mikey Dobbs.
Yeah.
I mean, it just hit like right off the bat. I had to point that out. I'm like,
again, if a transition play, they play deep ball or bump it up to midfield and they turn and attack, we got
3v2
or 4v2.
Yeah. All right. So we'll start there. The second photo. Let's see if we can pull this up because there's.
Is this it? No. Tell me.
No, that's not it. We've had some trouble with getting these in the order.
Is that it there? That's it right there.
That's it right there. Okay, beautiful. So in this clip, Toronto has the ball at left back, right? And they're trying to play out of the back. And go back to my notes. Okay. All right. And the good news is, Micky Mouse, we clearly have 3 in the back. And this is the first thing that I wanted to point out on a positive note, right? So since we've been playing Hernandez at right back, he doesn't get forward nearly as recklessly. Mm-hmm. I don't know whether that's being coached or I think it's probably just him because he does sometimes, and I'm going to show you in a minute that he does sometimes do it, but he's not as reckless about it. And so here he's not as actually in this case it's Gutman who's back. But anyway, there's 3 guys in the back this time. So we don't have our crazy 2.
Yeah, but Hernandez is the furthest back on the right here in the screen, right?
I think that's actually Parata and Franco.
Okay.
And that's Gutman at left back.
Okay.
But in any case, the bad news is, right, with all of that, we have 3 guys back, right? And as you can see, we're really, really trying to press. We got 2-3 guys around the ball, and we're trying to win the ball back, right? If you notice in the bottom middle of your screen, Micky Dobbs, there are 2 Toronto players. Are there anybody anywhere close to them?
No, Gutman is not out wide on his guy. He's because we'd have 2v1 if you left the center guy available there. If Gutman just would get out a little wider there, I think we'd be better off, right?
So you cannot press unless you have it matched up out of the back, right? And we do not have it matched up out of the back. So even when we have 3 guys back, we cannot win the ball up the field because we don't have that matched up. Anybody can play either one of those guys, and they have an easy outlet. They have all day to turn. Right? What's up with that?
Okay.
All right. Let's go to the next photo.
That's not it.
1 second. Sorry again for the out of order.
Let's look at the screen. Here we go.
That's not the one. Oh, I think you just had it. No, you went too far. 2 back.
There we go.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. So we're now trying to play out of the back. And again, I think Micky Dobbs, we're going to have a hard time seeing this. But what I want to point out is this is the classic. So we got 2 guys in the back. They're absolutely on an island, right? And the wing backs they're so all the way up the field. So Gutman and Hernandez are all the way up by midfield. And are they open? No. And if you notice this, if you contrast this, right, Toronto has a back 4. They have 2 defensive midfielders who are matched up, who are making it hard for us to get up the field. They've shut down all of the obvious options, right? I mean, if you just look at this formation, you say, look, Toronto may or may not be a great team, right? But they've got it all sorted out, right? I mean, it's clear that they're well coached, right? They've made it really, really hard. They have all the passing lanes shut down, right? And my point again being, this is an example where we've left 2 on the island in the back. We've bombed the guys out wide. And for what? They're not even open.
Yep.
I mean, they're not even remotely open. All right, let's go to the next one.
What's it look like? Here, look at my screen here. Come on.
Let me pull it up. Sorry. I'm having to go back and forth. All right, so it's nope. Nope.
Nope. We're searching.
There it is.
There it is.
There it is. There we go. And so in this photo, we're trying to play through the midfield, right? And Gutman has run up the field. And, I think what's interesting is that since he started playing Hernandez on the right back, Hernandez tends to stay back a little bit, and Gutman's gone forward. And it's been a little bit more unpredictable because Gutman has actually had a little bit of a free rein and has gone through the middle and done some other things. But in this case, Gutman has absolutely run into a useless space right in the middle. And the guy all the way down at the bottom of the screen for us is actually Almada, who's cleverly stuck out. Right, he snuck out on the wide part, but we're all the way in the middle, and we don't have any options again, Mikey Dobbs. All our, we still got two guys on the back, and we don't have any options to play to. So all this great bombing forward, we have no options to play to, and the ball is in the middle of the field. If we turn the ball over on this, there is no chance that they're not going to get a counterattack. I mean, it's just horrible. You can see actually, there's only one Atlanta United player on our half of the field. Yeah. He's by himself, and that's
right. So if you make
Franco, and Peralta has just played it back to him.
Any sort of mistake going forward is just
any mistake.
Floodgates open.
And you can see Toronto is in the absolute clear 4-3-3 again. They're really organized, right? We don't ever look organized right, like that. And it's not because we're not defensively organized. It's just because when you send those guys forward, then it's hard to get back into that shape, right? And so we're sacrificing that in order to have this awesome dynamic offense. But are we scoring goals out of it?
In this game, 4-2.
Well, yeah, in this game we scored 4-2.
In this game, 4-2. So I also think when I went back and looked at the replay of this game, Dave,
yeah,
we kind of got a little lucky. I mean, there were some chances that Toronto had. If you guys go back, just watch the YouTube highlights of this game, you're like, oh man, that game could have been a lot closer than it was, because there were some bad defensive moments.
Okay, so let's go to the next one.
All right.
I'll tell you which one it is. Nope. Wait. Go back.
Go back. I'm going back, people.
No, go forward. Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah.
There we go.
So we have all 10 of our players in their half. We've got two guys back again, and the closest player to them is Sosa, who's a good 30 yards up the field, right? Both our center backs are basically within the width of the center circle, right? I mean, you might as well, the supporter section probably should wave a flag when we're on attack that says, here comes the counterattack. Right? Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely astonishing. All right, let's go forward one more.
Chuck E. Cheese, Budweiser.
Yeah, this one.
This is it?
Yep, you got it. So I'm calling it up too so I can see better. But
this is a corner kick?
It is a corner kick. And I want to show you. So this is our offensive play on the corner kick. And, we've been scoring well in corner kicks, so it's working or whatever. But so we have 3 guys outside the box, but really there's 2 at the top of the box, right? We have 7 players inside the box, right? And we have one player back. Do you know who's back, Mikey Dobbs?
I'm assuming it's Franco or Peralta, but I can't
really
see.
No, because they're in the box scoring goals.
Oh, yeah.
So who's back?
Amar Sedic, probably.
It's Amar Sedic.
Amazing, yeah.
The one guy standing on an island is the guy who absolutely can't defend. Yeah, so if you can get out of the box against us, right, you can get some players out and running. Do we have a chance of defending that?
Yeah, I can just see him now bouncing around, like just on his toes.
Yeah, he's like, I'm ready, coach.
I'm ready, coach. Put me in, coach. I got it. I'm ready. All right, next photo.
Yeah, I mean,
what do we got here?
Make sure it's right.
Looks like we're about to press the ball forward here.
Yes. So we're building out of the back, and I don't know whether I'm just beating a dead horse here, but so you can see the outside backs. Hernandez is all the way up just underneath the 1647, right in front of our bench. Gutman is sprinting forward at the bottom of the screen. We got our two guys back, and in this case, there's, again, our center two back are back, and Sosa's a little bit in front of them. But I just wanted to point out that the white jerseys, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that are trying to defend that initial ball out, right? They are daring Purata or Franco to make a mistake because they're like, if you make a mistake, we're about to break on you 6v3 or 6v2.
Yeah. Which at this level, by the way, should not happen, first off.
Yeah, but why take that chance?
Well, hold on, Dave. Just hang on a second. You mean to tell me there shouldn't be something open behind this press that really is not a press, right? Because there's no pressure if that's Purata or Hernandez. I think it's Purata.
There's no press up there.
There's zero pressure on him. Anybody who, I mean, at this level, he should be playing a dangerous ball to somebody. I don't know what's going on in the left side of the screen here.
Yeah, we got a line. I'll tell you what's going on. It's always a line right along their line.
But don't you agree with at least the pressure? I mean, in the EPL, right? You wouldn't see a guy he's got 20 yards or 15 yards of space.
You see it sometimes with a really good team playing against a bad team.
But come on, like, I mean, he should be able to slot that direct or play it over top, right? And so there's no reason at this level, if he's at least going to try an over-the-top ball, that he's really going to put our team at much risk.
You don't want to play over the top from that far back.
Especially
when it's too far. Like, the defenders can read that. What you want to do is try to break the lines. But the problem here is that you're asking Franco and Purata to try to break the lines, right? And you're asking them to do it against a team that's got tons of people loaded up in the middle. And if they make a mistake trying to break the lines, it's counterattack city. They have squeezed everything out of this.
All I'm saying, though, wouldn't you take this all day? Like,
No.
Oh, I would take this all day in terms of being able to ask my player to play a ball through that.
I would,
if whatever on the left is organized properly, or come on.
But again, like, the other thing is,
there's zero pressure on
why
Purata.
have you sent Purata? Why have you sent Gutman and Hernandez? Are they doing anything for you here?
I don't. They should be, because there's zero pressure on Purata. And to your point, there's 6 people inexplicably pressing up with zero pressure on a professional soccer player who should be able to put it on a plate to somebody's foot. Agree or disagree?
I mean, what I was going to say is he should be able to...
Dave, agree or disagree that he should be able to play it to somebody's...
I agree, but here's the but, right? So once he plays it to someone's feet, and he should be able to complete that and break the lines, then all they're going to do is quickly compress that space. And it's that second ball. That guy's got to make a great decision and a great first touch.
Sure.
If he doesn't do that, somebody pokes it off his feet and is gone, right? And what? For what? We've given it to a guy who's under a ton of pressure. All he's going to do is, at best, keep possession and play it back to the center backs. He's not going to be able to turn and find a guy. I just don't think this is the way you want to attack a team. It's never going to work.
I disagree to some... Like, what you're saying is you're scared for the skill set of the guy who's going to receive it to F up in such a way that they can counterattack. If you don't have a guy that can confidently make sure that we don't get dispossessed, and at minimum, like, play a very dangerous second ball in off his touch, like, we've got no hope.
We have some great
guys
hope. Like Almada.
Like, you mean to tell me if it's not Gutman and you got Araujo out the left and you just and he plays it out to him, you don't believe in his skill set to be able to?
But why not
lose
if
it?
You had Gutman and Hernandez, and you can draw a guy in and play it to the wide guy. Now they can feed into a much better ball. We're in a much better shape if we do give it up. And now he's going to have some space instead of them being able to sit, because you're going to pull him out, pull the defense wide or across. You're making them move. Right now we're playing right through the center. They know we have no option to play out wide. The only thing you can try to do is to try to split the lines. So they're daring them to make a mistake. They love this. If I'm a defensive coach, I'm like, go for it.
I'll be honest, I can't really assess this situation with the photo.
Yeah.
I really can't, because I see if a deep ball into the corner is open and I don't know if that is Araujo on the bottom left here or if that's actually Gutman.
I think it's Araujo in the very bottom by midfield.
Wow, dude, he should be way up the field. And whoever's
too far.
But no, it's not too far. And if there's somebody up left who's in the top left space, they should clear out of it. And Purata,
but that's like a 40-yard ball. They have so much time to react to that ball.
And you know who's going to pick it up is Araujo on the front foot on his natural left with zero pressure on Purata. I'll take that all day long, Dave.
I don't like that. If I'm a coach, I don't want that.
Like
40-yard ball to a guy who's going to be under total pressure.
Well, what pressure? There's 6. To your point, there's 6 guys on our side of the field.
Yeah, but once you play a 40-yard ball, there's a ton of time to close that out, right?
Not with Araujo's speed. If they
even to get the ball over in the air for him waiting for the ball, it's not on his feet. Once he gets the ball at his feet,
I think first off, if there's nobody in front of Araujo, then he should be bombing up right now.
And there is a right back for Toronto. You can't see it in that clip, but there's a right back right there. He's got nowhere to run into. They've got a flat line. They're pinched right up, right where the edge of the screen is. There's nowhere to go except for to run offside. So all those guys who are along the line, the only thing they can do is come back. They have no momentum to run forward. I mean, this is a defensive. If you're a coach, and you see this, you're salivating. Right, I don't care who you have. I mean, maybe if you have the best passer out of the world, Van Dijk or something out of the back, maybe. But even then, you'd much rather have them with options wide and whatever, and it's spaced. This is crap spacing. It's going nowhere.
Yeah, I'm just not too worried. I mean, Purata is under zero pressure, right? So if there's not a ball, he should be able to play it back.
But eventually he's going to have to do something with the ball. Where's he going to go with it?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you're making proper runs, let's say there is a right back on Toronto who's back, which I can't see. Let's assume. Then we should be able to get creative, right? So Araujo bombs down and then actually cuts in and draws the guy into the middle, and then Almada or somebody breaks out left to the open space, and then Almada juices somebody on the corner of the box and takes it.
See, I want.
That's not complicated. You know what I mean?
I don't want Purata or Franco playing to Araujo. I want Franco or Purata playing into one of the midfielders, drawing some people in, and then hitting Araujo. Then he's going to be running, then he's going to have space, and then he's going to actually have success, right? There has to be a second pass in there. Right now, you're pointing out the whole point is that the only way to get it there is by one pass, and that's not going to draw anybody. You need to get Araujo one-on-one with space and running, not with receiving a 40-yard ball out of the air where he's got to just control it, shield the guy off, and play it back. That's all he's going to be able to do. And he's good. He'll be able to do that. But, that's not going anywhere. There's no dynamic to this whatsoever. And it's supposed to be dynamic. But the problem is those guys have gone up, and now they're just standing.
I don't know. I do see a situation where Purata has all the time in the world to play a ball to somebody.
Yeah, for sure. Because they're sagging off for sure. He does have all day. And, if you're Purata, you would just stand there and make someone come to you eventually.
My point is he's got all day to play the ball with 6 of the Toronto people unnecessarily forward, which means we should be able, whether it's a direct ball or whatever, I would salivate at this. In the EPL, they would break that line right through the center. Somebody would turn, bomb forward, and
But if
score.
you look at at
period, the end.
So Bradley's standing literally almost on the center spot. And you can actually see their center back. He's only 10 yards behind him. There's no space in there. It's real compressed.
Right? Which
that little gap
is why I keep saying over the top.
Yeah, but again, the ball over the top from Barada is not going to work. It's too far. If you now play a ball into the midfield and then over the top, they're really high line, and then they can really be beaten. Yeah. But you got to play that. You can't skip that extra pass.
Okay. Well, I'll trust playing that to Almada and then him chipping it over.
Yeah, that's your best move is to try to get it to Almada because he could control it in that space. Yeah. But I guarantee if you play a ball into Almada there, he's going to be, by the time even that ball gets there, he's going to be double or triple teamed.
As long as one of those players is Bradley, I'm okay with that.
That's true. I mean, and they're really bad, so you can do that. So what you do is you just give it to Almada. He makes Bradley look like a fool, and then he opens it up. But that's not a good strategy long term because you're not always playing against Bradley, right? All right, let's go to the next one.
Next one. Does this look right?
It's the one where...
No.
No. Yeah, no, that was right, I think.
That was right. Look at that. All right. Talk away. What you got? Midfield.
Yeah. So Rios Novo has the ball out of the back, right? And this is our genius.
No, it can't be Rios Novus. We've got Gudinho playing in this game.
Yeah.
Gudinho is playing against Toronto. Portland was the last game. Arroz con pollo. That's when everything went. When Joseph came in and said,
it must be Gudinho.
"You got to change things, Pineda. You're starting at 5'10" goalkeeper.
Yeah.
You're not playing Moreno, and you're not playing me.
You're right. Gudinho's got the ball.
Get it correct."
And my point being, so what I want to point out to this, and it's really hard to see on our screen, but our two backs, Franco and Perato are really wide, and Sosa's in the middle. But I just want to point out to you, the ball's on our goalkeeper Gudinho's foot. And if you look at so right now, right, Gutman.
You got to take better photos, by the way. We
got to be able to zoom a little bit. But do you know where Gutman is on this? Gutman is behind their center backs, and you know where Hernandez is? Hernandez is at the top of the picture, right at midfield line, and they're all sprinting desperately to get back to give a help. Right? I'm like, how do we have our goalkeeper have the ball? Our right back is sprinting straight back towards our own goal at midfield, and our left back is actually beyond their defenders. Like, talk about we weren't in defensive position.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
so you're saying you don't see that in the EPL?
No. Have you ever seen the goalkeeper get it and not have a ball out wide in the EPL? I mean, golly. All right. There's two more. One more.
All right. Is this it? That's it. I think that is it.
Yes. So that is it. We're defending in our own box, and we're trying to get out of the back, right? And I'm going to pull up just a photo so I can see a little better because it's for the TV. And
our fans can't see anything. The listeners,
I think they can.
Or the YouTube people might be able to. Let's leave a comment about how bad Dave's photos are. He didn't send them to me in time to do any cropping and zooming.
Sorry.
And prepping. I could have done all this.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're trying to play out of the back. And what I want to point out about this picture is that, so we have in our penalty area, so we've been defending pretty deep as we're wont to do because they're against us. So we have the goalkeeper, Gudinho. We've just won the ball. The guy tried to dribble on Gutman, and you actually see he's dribbling on him right now. He loses the ball. But anyway, we have the goalkeeper, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players inside the penalty area, right? That leaves us with 2 players playing up top, right? The 2 players are sort of in the middle of the field, right?
Yeah.
One of them, Almada, is actually maybe in a decent spot, but there's no way we can play him the ball because there's a guy in front of him and a guy behind him.
Yeah.
And Cisneros, I want to point out, is 2 yards behind their last center back, right? He has nobody can play him a ball, right? Maybe you can heave it over and you can try to play a ball from our own 6-yard box and go for a breakaway, but good luck, right? So my point being that, so there's 2 problems that we talked about. Like, one is that we get too many players forward, we get counterattacked. But the other problem is when we can't win the ball at midfield, so we often win the ball in our own penalty area, like here. We win the ball in our own penalty area. We have nowhere to go with the ball, Mikey Dobbs.
So I have a question.
There's nobody available.
I like this move as a strategy. Sorry, but if I'm Cisneros here, you're already behind him.
Yep.
You're not doing anything defensively.
Yeah.
I would drop forward to the center box.
Sure. If that guy's so far out, you could go to the center circle to midfield, right? And stretch him for sure. But he's not doing that. He's just standing literally right behind him.
I'm just calling out because it's terrible forward play because there's 2 things that happen there.
Sure.
You scare the heck out of the guy that is leaving you, that's in front of him, and you also scare the guy that's marking Almada behind him as well. So you actually open up more space for Almada. So by Cisneros,
that's good forward play, Mikey.
I know.
And Martinez does this all the time.
It's not complicated.
Martinez will actually stand offsides a lot of times and make them nervous for just that reason.
Yeah, I mean, why would?
But here he doesn't even have to go offsides because he's in his own half. He can go all the way up to midfield. He's still not offsides.
I mean, I love that tactic. Like when I'm cherry picking. Like,
sure.
You scare people into being like, oh, go ahead, you be brave. I'm gonna be up here when there's a breakaway.
Yep.
And that usually involves two people communicating and yelling at each other and the other team too before they sort it out.
Yep.
And by then, you're on the breakaway.
Okay.
All right.
Let's go to the last picture here. And this is my epic moment, right? So this is here, Micky Dobbs.
I wish I could zoom in on this.
It doesn't matter. You don't need to zoom in because I'm gonna paint the picture. It doesn't matter, right? Because what you can, so this is an offensive corner kick. So this has been as I alluded to earlier, it's a 2-2 game. We scored, they scored, we scored, they scored, 2-2 game, right? Almada comes up with this moment of sheer brilliance, breaks it at 3-2, right? This is a game that we absolutely have to have, right? I mean, have to have. Toronto's a terrible team. We're at home. If we're going to have any chance of making the playoffs, we have to win this game.
Yeah.
Okay? This is the 88th, 89th minute, right? So we're at the very end of the game, right?
Is it 3-2 at this point?
It's 3-2.
Yeah, okay.
We have an offensive corner kick. And you can't see in this photo because it's too small. But
so what you're saying is they're going to give them a chance to have a breakaway?
So we're showing Parata actually scoring this one, and I'm fine with Parata being forward.
Right.
But we still have one freaking player at center mid.
Wait a second. Is it a Marsetic? Who is it this time?
I think it's Hernandez.
Okay, well,
so
at least we got a defender.
I think Cedric was off the
But
game,
yeah, no real backup plan.
What the? If you're up 3-2 and you're sitting on a lead and you have to win to make the playoffs, you got 5 minutes to see out the game. You got an offensive corner. How many players are you going to send in the box, Micky Dobbs?
Well, I think I'm going to at least leave 2 or 3 back by the
I was going to say I'd send 3 or 4 into the box, maybe even bring the guy who scored all the goals like Parata up there. Right. And then everybody else going to park the bucks. There's no way that I am giving up a counterattack here. No way, no how, not anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So, and that's my point. Is more importantly, who are the people back at midfield?
It's ludicrous. I mean, this is ludicrous coaching. If I were Pineda and I were on the sidelines and we're up 3-2 in the 89th minute, I would be
So what you're
you
saying?
can see this in Little League coaching, Micky
This
Dobbs.
is like 28-3 when you pass the ball down to Julio Jones, and all you need to do is not go backwards, but then you go into shotgun. Why would you go into shotgun?
This is even worse than that.
No, it's not worse than that. It's not worse than that, but it's close.
Oh.
Because
that way they gave up the lead. This one they didn't. But God. I mean, could you imagine if we get counterattacked and scored here?
I could imagine that. I was thinking about it during the entire game.
Yeah. Well, it's fine. Like, look, I can understand if this game is 2-2 and you got to get to the playoffs, sure, that we should look like that, right? You got to go for it, give the goal. Sure. Who cares if you give it the counter or whatever?
Not so much.
3-2, you got to be parking the freaking bus. We haven't won in how many games? And we got that going on in the freaking 87th minute?
Oh, but Dave, we've got Air Juan now as a slogan.
Yeah, but... Where's the on fire button?
I know. I get too complicated.
Gracious, we need Carmen. I hope she's out there listening somewhere. She's probably pressing the button in her head, right? It is absolutely criminal. I mean, that is a criminal thing. And if I were, if they would give us a press pass or whatever, which they wouldn't do for very long because we would ask them these questions, I would be like, what were we doing here? What?
So, okay.
What would Pineda's possible explanation be for that?
So we go on to win this game. And when was this was the 4th goal that we scored at this point?
Yep. We score on this. He's scoring in the clip. Okay. Got a great picture of Parata.
So by the way, Parata. So I think this is true. So it's the first ever center back that's ever scored a hat trick in MLS.
Yeah.
And I also think it's the first hat trick by 3 headers in the MLS.
Yes.
So a double whammy for Purata.
Yes. Great. I mean, brilliant, right?
Yeah. Except he did have 2 goals that you could say he needed to at least make up for.
Yep.
That, yeah, weren't a good look early. When he did that slide and didn't get it done, and then there was something else that's even worse. But I'm trying to put it out of my head now. So, Dave, then we have...
I could spend like 40 minutes talking about this picture. It makes me so mad, right? Because it's just absolutely criminal. I mean, it's totally unprofessional at any level of any kind of thing ever. It's just horrific.
Where is the ATL on fire button? We need it. I can see it. This isn't even on fire. You were like pissed.
Oh my God. I'm like, there's steam coming out of my ears, dear podcast listeners, because this is idiotic. I mean, it is idiotic. Of course it works. So, whatever. Yeah. But I mean, come on.
All right. So now we leave this game feeling good. 4-2. But yeah, I knew you and I, the whole game, like we're just kind of looking at each other like, man, there's some stuff that's just not.
Well, I think we showed you in a bunch of these pictures how tactically. I mean, we'll see whether you guys should send us dear podcast listeners, you should send us the feedback because maybe if you can or cannot see these pictures real well. But we're trying to do it is give you a picture of where we are on the field at moments, right, and give you a sense of what we're looking like tactically. And it's not good.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I mean, you can just tell the way that the game is flowing. A lot of things are off with this team all season.
Yeah, and you score 4 goals, but how many times do you get 3 headed goals from your center back in the game, right? Oh, yeah, that's right. You pointed out it's never happened before. So never. So if you're counting on that to win games, you're going to win once in the history of MLS.
Okay, so we lost to Portland on the road.
Yep.
Come back to the Bends, beat Toronto with a little luck.
Yep.
And then we got Orlando.
Yep.
In Orlando.
Yep.
Which is going to be a tough match. I mean, Orlando has been playing decently this year.
Mm-hmm. They're a playoff team.
Won the U.S. Open Cup.
Yes, we'll get to that.
And thank goodness we gave them nothing to gloat about and pulled off a 1-0 win. What did you think of that game overall?
Yeah. I mean, I think people are like, the optimism, we have the same lineup. I think let's go back to the lineup because, this lineup has created, obviously they've played better. We've gotten some wins, right? And it's been a consistent lineup, right? And I think what we should point out is that I'm not really sure it's so much on purpose, but he's gotten to a couple of the things that we really have been calling for all the time, right? We don't have both of our outside backs so often up. We are still doing it, which means that he doesn't really realize that. But Hernandez has a natural, he's not naturally, predisposed to do that, so he kind of hangs back.
Yeah.
Gutman's going forward a lot, but Gutman is really good getting back. He's really excellent about it.
So I feel like Hernandez is too. I feel like both of them know when it's the proper timing to go up.
I think Gutman is bombing away. He's just good at getting back. I think the coaches are still telling him the same stupid stuff. But it's working better because Hernandez is not inclined to do it, and Gutman is getting back better, and Sosa's sitting in. And so we haven't had so many moments where the 2 guys, we've given up the ball, there's only 2 guys on the island. It's happened. It's stupid. I want to say, actually, in the Portland game, well, maybe not the Portland game, but so one of the things that I've noticed is that I've watched a few times Seattle play, and Seattle looks like it's not going to make the playoffs this year, right? So Seattle's been this weird team. They have the same coach the whole time, right? But they've won MLS Cup, they finished as runners-up, and then twice they've missed the playoffs badly, right? Or no, actually, this will be the first time they missed the playoffs, but they're about to do it. But twice they've really struggled. The last time they just barely got in the playoffs. But anyway, What's interesting about their team, and I bring this up because this is where Pineda came from, right? This is his coaching legacy, right? They play a very similar system. They have 2 guys back. They send the outside guys bombing forward. And it's really, really feast or famine, right? When they get on a roll, like when they won the MLS Cup, they finished in that season not nearly close to first place, but they won the MLS Cup. When they get on a roll and they get a few lucky breaks, they don't give it up, and they're bombing forward, they get it dynamic, everybody's excited, they can score a goal. In that playoff run, they won one game, I think, like 5-4 or something. But this season, a couple of times they've surrendered 3-goal leads. I mean, it's all feast or famine. Like, you can see the system is when it's at its best, and we don't play it at its best, but when it's at its best, it does create a lot of dynamic because we do have a lot of guys forward, right? And you can score goals from that. If you have a team that's not naturally inclined to score, you can score goals. But then, of course, anybody turns the ball over that's a counter, give up goal after goal after goal, right? So it's feast or famine. You can get on a roll. You can also get on a bad roll where you're losing game after game after game. And I think that's what you've seen with Atlanta United. We got on a bad roll, and it was a little bit unlucky, honestly. We kept giving up stupid goals with Rios Nova or whatever. But that system is showing exactly what it is, which is feast or famine. And we were famine for a while, and then we kind of got on a little bit of roll here late, and maybe it's feast a little bit. But do we need to do that with the team we have?
I mean, Dave,
is that the system you want, a feast or famine?
Well, the system that I want is to play our best players and then keep it simple, which we've talked about all season.
All you
which
need
is
to do.
The 6 in the back, stay back, and let the creative 4 up front be creative and just do their thing.
Yeah.
And be natural, right? And so we got Araujo and Moreno out right as forwards, Joseph Martinez up front, Almada crushing it through the center as a 10, really.
Yeah.
I don't think anything's changed in terms of our narrative here. We just keep saying it.
Well, he's made some of the changes, right? So
he made changes in the back.
Coutinho instead of Rios Nova.
Back.
Hernandez at right. But, he's even made a switch where Araujo is out natural left, which is better than him out right. And Sosa's come back. So all of those things have gotten us closer to where we are. And maybe you ought to listen to the rest of what we're saying. Right? Why not play Martinez in there as a finisher instead of Cisneros or Dom Dwyer? Right? And then why not actually, to be honest, God bless, Brooks Lennon is fine, but I'd rather see Moreno in that spot.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm fine with Brooks Lennon playing some of the time in there. I'd like Brooks Lennon to come on late and maybe bring on Brooks Lennon with Dwyer, so when he's crossing.
No, look, like Moreno can be frustrating some games, and sometimes he's off, right? And I think as a coach, identify that and put in Lennon, who's a workhorse and is going to give you a solid game, right? But you got to, in my opinion, you have to start Moreno out there and give him the credit as the better player. And then you put in Lennon as
certainly
a solid
when you
sub.
play Lennon in front of Hernandez, you get more defensively on that side, right?
I love that.
So maybe on the road in a tough game, you do that, and you bring on Moreno late. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, totally fine with that. But yeah, in a must-win type of game, I think you start Moreno and you say, let's throw our best talent on the field.
Yeah, because if we were getting it up the field, matching it up, and giving it to those guys and playing a totally different system, instead of this trying to be dynamic or whatever, let's actually just press up the field, keep it tight, recycle the ball, we'd score goal after goal after goal. I mean, we'd be flying in the goals. People would be happy. We'd be on the front foot. Like, it's so depressing.
It really is. Like, I mean, it's not my goal in this podcast is to go after Pineda, and I feel like at Twitter people are going after me for doing it. It's not what I want to be saying. I hate it, but there are some egregious things that have happened this year that seem to have no press to explain it either, right? Like the Moreno not starting, the Coutinho not starting, the Joseph Martinez not starting when Cisneros, he had some good runs there, like 1/3 into the season, he was getting some things done. But then he went on a stretch where he didn't get it done. You had a healthy Martinez who's saying, I'm ready to play. By all accounts, he was right there saying, hey, I'm your guy, and didn't get the pass, right? So you got that. Then you got an Amar Sedic who's starting out of nowhere when you have so many better options. Like, I just can't get my head around it. And then Dom Dwyer as a consistent starter. No, I mean, yeah, like give him the chance to come in and do what he's been good at the beginning of the season, which is be the muscle man at the end of the game.
Yep.
The last 10, 15 minutes where he can't get a red card that jeopardizes the team. And he's the guy that you love, right? Like he's the guy that you love. He's the hero that comes in, everybody wants to cheer for because he's losing his mind. He throws an elbow, he does this, gets a yellow card, and the next thing you know, we score and win the game. Like that's the Dom Dwyer that, you know, I think can get it done. But he's not the starter.
I want to talk about an analogy or, you know, so my team is Manchester United, as I think you know, in the Premier League. And we have a new coach, Dutch coach, very successful, Ten Hag. And he comes in and it just absolutely, you know, there's a lot of euphemisms, but it wasn't good. They got crushed in their first two games
Brentford.
against mediocre teams, right? So
Brentford seems to do that to teams because in 2021 they crushed Arsenal.
Yes,
like 4-0 or something.
So does he stick around? Does he sit around with what he's doing? No. So he replaces Maguire at center back with Martinez. He replaces Luke Shaw at left back with the young kid Marcel. I can't remember his name. Yeah. But anyway, and the brand new Dutch. The guy came from Ajax. No, not from Ajax, from the other Dutch team. Anyway, and instead of playing Fred and McTominay, he actually dropped originally Eriksson to defensive midfield, right? Instead of Fred. He benched Fred, right? Yeah. And he put in all the three attackers, right? So he had Sancho, Rashford, and not Ronaldo, he was on the bench, but he had all the speed, right? And you know, they went on a 4-game winning streak, right? So they beat Arsenal, they beat Liverpool, they won 4 games in a row, right? Yep. I mean, really, really good. He clearly changed it and it clearly worked, right? And I read a soccernet.com article, God bless. And
SoccerNet.
Yeah. That's the ESPN SoccerNet, whatever.
Okay.
Anyway, I read the article, and the commentator was talking about how this is, you know, great, but it's very unsustainable. And the rationale basically of this article was Ten Hag has built his teams around progressing the ball out of the midfield or whatever, and they weren't doing that. They were sitting back a little bit more and counterattacking, you know, with the speed or whatever. And so, you know, it's unsustainable. What are they going to do or whatever? And I'm reading this article, and I'm like, you got to be out of your effing mind. Because if you look at Manchester United's team, right, they have Fernandes, Rashford, Sancho, Elanga, all who've got speed, go whatever, right? We keep giving up stupid goals. This team is, you know, meant to sit and counter. That's the dream for this team, and he clearly realized that. He went to it, and now they suddenly win 4 games, and he wants them to switch back because that's Ten Hag's system. And I'm like, whoever don't let players get in the way of a good system, right? That's who you have. That's the players you have. Design the system for the players, which he clearly realized after a couple of games. They're beating the heck out of teams. Just keep doing that. Yeah. Right? It is madness to me when these commentators and everybody's like, well, that's not his sophisticated thing. He's built this around the Ajax, the 4-3-3, and it's building through the middle, whatever, and it's possession and whatever. And I'm like, that's not the team you have. Yeah. So until you get that team, you better play the way you can play.
So what's the team that we have?
The team that
Break it down again for us, Dave. Break it down again for us. We have some of the most potent offensive players in the MLS. Boca haters or whatever, then you need to check yourself. We've got Joseph Martinez. We've got Araujo, Moreno, Almada. Even behind that as far as people that can go forward. You've got Lennon as an option on the right. You've got Huzetu, which is a little more ticky-tacky. He's not like a super attacker.
Our team...
And this new Mascara guy that seems to be able to go forward as well.
Our team is built to break people down off the dribble, right? Very rarely do you get players who have such an advantage on the dribble as Almada, Moreno, Araujo, right? I mean, they can go around MLS defenders like they're cones, right? So that team is built to go through the middle, little passes, and dribbling at the players. We should be leading the freaking MLS in penalty kicks because everybody should be, crapping themselves when they see Araujo or Almada running at them, right? And that should be through the middle. We don't need them, out, super wide. People are like, well, why would you keep talking about Araujo on the left as a natural instead of an inverted? Don't you want him coming in? I'm like, no, I want him coming in, but from the left when we send it through and he can use his pace and it goes onto his left foot. I mean, actually in this game, right, you saw Araujo made a guy look like a freaking cone, right? He dribbled for 40 yards. He beat it, whatever. He went from left to right. And at the last moment, he went around the goalkeeper, right? And he tried to shoot it in with his right, which is such a weak thing. And he hit it so weakly that they were able to come back and clear it off the line, right? That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for him to make that diagonal run from the left and to play it through to him. Right now, we're playing him out the right, and he has to go around on his right foot, and he's going around people on the right with his left foot, which is awkward, right? So this team is built to play little, tiki-taka soccer, dribble at people through the middle, create, get fouls. We should be scoring on a lot of free kicks because we should be getting free kick after free kick after free kick. We should get penalty kick after penalty kick. We should be putting so much pressure through the middle. And all you have to do is take the other 6 players, the 4 in the back and 2 guys in the center midfield, and say your job is to win the ball up the field and recycle it to those guys. And, the other thing you've seen, Gutman, God bless him, he's actually done really well and scored some goals. When he's done that, he's made these amazing runs through the middle, right, instead of out wide. Yeah. And that's because Araujo is out wide, so he's cutting inside. And the thing about that, when he does that, it's an unexpected run. So I'm super favor of our backs going forward, but why does it have to be so these guys are going to run forward, we know when it's going to happen, and they're going to stop at midfield right here, blah, 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 blah. Why not be unpredictable and say it's occasionally going to be Franco, it's going to be Gutman going through the middle. It's going to be a guy who you don't expect, and the defenders are like, I don't know. And all it has to do is scare somebody so that there's a little extra pass or somebody lays off Araujo or Almada, and you can see what they can do.
Yeah.
That's what we should be doing. That's what this team is built to play. This team is not really built to counterattack. This team is definitely not built to play wide on the flanks and cross the ball in because we don't have any of those guys who can go win the ball in the penalty area. This team is built to go through the middle and win the ball up front, recycle it to those guys where they have one-on-one quickly. They can win those matchups every single time.
So if we're going to start a formation, what are you going with? A 4-2-2-1? What is your?
So it's basically the 4 in the back who we have. I mean, we've been playing
Hernandez, Peralta, Franco, Gutman.
Yep. But the only difference is I would say that I would send Gutman, I would send Hernandez, but say only when it's really on and only one of you. We should never, ever, ever have both of you up. There's no reason for it because when we have both of them up, one guy's involved in the play and the other one's doing nothing.
Then you got shift 3 in the back.
Right.
If one guy goes forward, shift 3 in the back.
We always have Sosa sitting in front of them. Okay. That's the defensive guy breaking it up. So we always have
4 in the back. Okay.
Right.
So the big question mark is who is the guy next to Sosa that's in front of him?
Yeah. So obviously I would think Martinez definitely in the middle. I would say the out wides, I would say Araujo and Moreno. Definitely Almada sitting in right behind Martinez.
So, but
the only question is, who is the extra guy? And to me, I would say to divide it up. So when you're at home and you're on the front foot, it should be Rossetto, who's a little more offensive, maybe even occasionally a guy like Sejdic. But I think Rossetto's better. And when we're on the road, you play Ibarra with an extra defensive guy. Okay. It's easy.
Yeah. Now,
and you could occasionally, that's the core package, if you will. That doesn't mean you can't occasionally rest Moreno and start Lennon. A weaker game. You don't want to play Moreno all the time. Whatever. You can vary it up. You can you can sit Martinez and have occasional spot start from Dwyer. I have no problem with that.
You can even give Araujo, if he's on a run, Mascara a start. And
I think Mascara off the bench is a guy who scares you in the 70th, 80th minute.
But granted, these are things that are easy to say late in the season with, Mascara late. But
But the closer they've gotten to what we have said all along, the better we have looked. So why can we see it and they can't?
I don't know, because, well, first off, the goalkeeping thing was
it's just
a total sham. The fact that he can't see that Amar Sejdic, as much as he might practice and be a hard-nosed player, does not have quality to be starting on any MLS team, more or less ours. When you have, Rossetto, which, by the way, was our captain for a while, so I don't know what distrust that he got, that he's like, you don't even get to start in
He was injured for a little bit, but he's back now, and he still won't get on the field.
No, dude, Amar Sedic's better than you. You're going to get the and then, Dom Dwyer is all of a sudden better than Joseph Martinez. Come on, man. Like, and then Moreno, we've already talked about it. Like, there's so many things that do not add up beyond just the atrocious things, like, and you see them better than I do, right? Which are like the stuff that sadly I see better in the NFL, right? Like the 28-3 thing where you're like, all right, why in the hell would you be lined up at shotgun when all you need to do is not lose yards at this point, right? At 28-3. You're seeing stuff like that when it is like, it's shambolic that, you're up 3-2. Anybody that knows soccer knows you should not be overly aggressive. You should be parking the bus. Statistics are what they are. You're better off not going for the goal and playing sound defense than you are trying to have Juan go in for his hat trick. Well, it just is what it is, man. And it's the season on the line. Yeah, and you play the odds against Vegas.
It's one thing to be doing that early on in the season and you're on a roll and you're pressing, you want to go for the last goal, awesome, go for it, right? Bury people, right? But when you've struggled and struggled and struggled and you finally have a 3-2 win and you have to keep that to go have any chance to get in the playoffs, it is absolutely idiotic, which is worse than shambolic, right? To do that. I mean, it's just nuts. It's absolutely nuts.
So it would be like me in Vegas, like taking my... Let's say I sat at the blackjack table and I put it all down on 32.
The roulette.
That's exactly what I would do too. That's my style.
I mean, it can work.
I appreciate it. It can work. Juan, we had a good moment against the Toronto game, but overall, no bueno. All right, let's jump. I'm going to just force this all the way to the Philadelphia game.
I have a few things to say about it. So early in the second half, there's a rebound off of Blake. Blake, some amazing saves in this game to keep them in the game. But it falls to Dom Dwyer instead of Martinez. And if that is Martinez, he scores, right? But instead it falls to Dom Dwyer, and he doesn't score, right? He gets it all wrong. Later on in the second half, we have an offensive corner, and we have this crazy thing with only one player back. And Araujo chases...
This is in the Philly game again.
Yeah, Philly game. Araujo chases a guy back 40 yards to make an amazing tackle. And, the crowd's going crazy, and the commentators are like, what an amazing tackle. I'm like, why on an offensive corner do you want one of your best attacking players to have to chase back 40 yards to make a game-saving tackle when you had an offensive corner?
And yet again, I keep going to the EPL as my example. When do you see that in the EPL? You don't see it.
You don't. It's one thing to be aggressive. I like us being aggressive on corners or whatever, but leaving one single player back on an island, and that player is Sejdic, right? It's just stupid. I mean, it's absolutely stupid. And I'm sorry if anyways, we're 0-0, 68th minute, right? We're making the first sub, right? Who's the guy who's been scoring goals off the bench, Mikey Dobbs?
Joseph Martinez.
And who do we bring on in the 68th minute of this game?
Joseph Martinez?
Oh, that would be too smart.
No, it wasn't.
You want to know who came off the bench?
I don't know. Was it Cisneros in this Philadelphia game?
Cisneros came off.
I was on vacation. I was catching fish.
We're at 0-0. We're in the 70th minute. We've been dominating the match. We've been playing really well, right? Okay, we've done really well, and we have to win, right? And so he brings on Cisneros.
Arroz con pollos. It's time to flip some tables. It really is that is a spiteful move. That's bad coaching, and it's spiteful, especially when you played him in the previous game, right? I don't get it, man. There's something there with his stubbornness that he deserves to be fired is the best way I can
It's
put
funny because everybody talks about Pineda being the super nice guy or whatever, but I think he has this, he was defensive midfielder, and I think it shows a little bit. He has this, pride thing in him. I think you're sensing something, which is true, right?
Yeah, it's an unnecessary pride thing with whatever it is he's got against Moreno, whatever it is he's got against Joseph Martinez. It's this pride thing that I don't know, man. It's costing the team. It costs the team. We're not making the playoffs. I mean, I'd love to be proven wrong with some miracle, but.
Okay, so that's perfect segue. So, are we making the playoffs or are we not making the playoffs? Okay, so I say I don't know what anybody is thinking when they say that we're making the playoffs, right? Because so we have 2 games left. We have New England away and we have New York City FC at home, right? Those are our 2 remaining matches after the international break. Which we can get to in just a minute. And so if Mikey Dobbs, so first of all, let's ask you think we're winning both of those games?
I think it's possible. I mean, not with the coaching we have. If they started the starting lineup that you and I just said, yes.
But they'd also have to be playing with confidence. I think right now the one thing they are is playing with a little bit of confidence.
They got a little confidence. So if they started with the starting lineup, which is just Martinez up front, Araujo out left, Moreno out right, Almada in the center is number 10. You got Josetu next to them, Sosa, and then Hernandez, Parata, Franco, Gutman, Godinho, and Zagoli. I say, damn straight we can win these last 2 games, but that's not going to happen, Dave.
No, there is 0 chance that we're not going to have the same starting lineup. 0.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, we're playing this unless somebody's hurt.
Because it's not like, I mean,
he thinks he's found the formula.
Yeah, it's not like we should be throwing Hail Marys or anything. Like by playing our best talent.
So New England has absolutely nothing to play for. They're not making the playoffs, surprisingly. And so
should be winning the next game easily. But we should destroy them.
And on the road in MLS, nobody really wins. So
no.
What's your prediction? Do we win?
Yes, because the soccer gods want to torture us onto a final podcast. So there's your answer on that.
I'm going to take the opposite. I'm going to say we lose or tie, and it's over. Because that's Pineda just doesn't have enough.
I mean, I can't disagree with it. I am being the devil's advocate
to the wily veteran Bruce Arena,
and that's probably going to happen. He's probably going to get out coached on the road on a game that
they have nothing to play for.
That literally we've got everything to play for, and he's not going to have the right starting lineup. He's not going to have the right.
That's what I think.
Pep talk. You're absolutely right. Right, but I'm a fan of the team, so I'm with you, but I'm against you.
And if you can somehow manage to win at New England, New York City FC is still in a playoff spot, but they have absolutely imploded since they lost the coach and since they lost Castellanos. They have absolutely just gone on a tailspin, right? And they're going to make the playoffs no matter what. But that's a winnable game at home. They're not a great team anymore without the coach. So.
And then NYFC game's at home, right?
Yeah.
We should totally win that game.
Yeah.
So, literally, at least they give ourselves the outside chance to make the playoffs, like we should win the next 2 games handily.
Okay, so if we win the next 2 games, that leaves us at 46, right? As I said previously on another podcast, typically in the MLS, it has taken 48 points to make the playoffs. That doesn't mean that it's going to be this year, but it's kind of looking like it's going to be the same. So Orlando and Cincinnati only need 2 points from their last 3 games to finish above 46. And now they both tied. Actually, I wrote this because I thought we were going to do a podcast earlier. So now they're both at 45, right? They just need 1 more point. Or no, they're 45. So they need 2 more points to finish above 46. So I'm right. So they have 3. They're 31. They have 3 games left, and they need 2 more points. So 2 ties or any win in their remaining 3 games, and they each have very winnable game in one of the 3 games. So that's not going to happen. The only chance is you somehow have to get above Columbus and Inter Miami, right? So both of them are on 42, right? So if we get to 46 somehow, right, which I don't think we're going to do, but let's say we do get to 46, right, then they need 5 points, right? So they need either a win and 2 ties, or more likely they need 2 wins, right? Either of those teams can get 2 wins and we're out, right? So they both have to do no better than 1 win, really. What's the chances that Columbus only manages, 1 more win and ends up at 45, and we win the 2 games? I mean, obviously, if we don't win the 2 games, it's done. But there's just too many things that have to happen. Like, there's no chance.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about a wing and a prayer.
Yeah.
But all I really care about, I don't care about any of that. I care about the fact that we should go up to New England and kick their ass, and we should beat NYFC.
Sure.
Like, that's all that matters.
You just care about us playing well. You'd love to finish
exactly.
the season.
All I care about is playing well, because no excuses at this point. Even with Brad Guzan and Miles Robinson wanting his $2 back, I think we got to win these 2 games.
Yeah.
We have plenty of talent. Not enough coaching.
The early word, that was leaked in a local sports broadcast was that Atlanta United is bringing back Pineda for sure. What do you feel about that?
I think first off, it made no sense to me. It seemed like a desperate panic move by the front office and whoever the president is, that's kind of more of the bookkeeping guy. I forget his name, or he's part of the A&B group that came out and said it, because it was right after the Eros Campollos thing, and they basically wanted to establish that the team was stable and they didn't want any more disruption. So they prematurely came out, in my opinion, and said, Pineda's our guy, we're going to re-sign him for another year, which they're going to do, just because I know that's what they're going to do, and give him more roadway that is unnecessary when we clearly need to change.
Yeah, I think it's crazy for them to make that pronouncement when you don't have a president yet.
No real president.
They said they're going to hire a president. They're going to interview people starting in the next, 4 or 5 weeks at this point.
It was the other president of A&B that made the Cannon or whatever his name is, right? That made the announcement.
Yeah, I forget his name, but yeah. So I don't understand why. I mean, I would have said, of course, if you're Atlanta United, you say, look, we're going to hire a president. The first thing the president's going to do is evaluate the team, including the coach, and we'll make a decision, right?
Why wouldn't you do that? Like, why back yourself into any sort of corner? It's not like Pineda's got like anybody like looking for him, like he's jumping to the next thing.
Right. And so I don't know about that. And we can maybe save it for another conversation, but there is a a pretty good possible coach, 2 really good possible coaches who are now available. I've always said you don't fire a coach unless you have somebody better you can bring in.
Yeah.
But I have two.
Which I agree with you, but just don't unnecessarily announce that he's your guy when there's
why
no
would you
need
do
to.
it?
Like, it's not like it's not like he's going to get an offer on the table for another head coaching job right now. That's not a risk.
Right. I don't understand.
So who are these 2 coaches you speak of?
Do you want me to tell you now, or you should save it for?
No,
I've done an analysis.
I want to know.
Mikey Dobbs, I've done an analysis of all of the coaches in the entire Eastern Conference. It took a long time, so I haven't done the Western Conference yet.
Maybe we should hold it. We're an hour and a half in.
Yeah,
this is a teaser.
Let's see if we get in the playoffs.
Let's see if we get in the playoffs, and then we can talk about.
Then we can talk about coaching.
When we don't get in the playoffs, why we should fire Pineda. Unfortunately, no, we're not hating here. We're just wanting this team to do better and to deliver the fans what they deserve.
Okay, I agree. I'm going to then give you something on a positive note.
Okay.
So Cincinnati beats Chivas 3-1 in the League Cup Showcase. God bless all these things.
What's the League Cup Showcase?
It's a small tournament between MLS and Liga MX.
So it's like a little mini Campeones Cup?
Yeah. But there is a Campeones Cup too, also. But
so there's like a mini tournament that's like bigger than the Campeones Cup. Because the Campeones Cup's only 1 game.
Right.
So what's this called?
It's called the League Cup Showcase.
The League Cup Showcase is technically bigger than Campeones Cup.
Maybe
like
it's 2.
So
there were
games.
2 semifinals. Cincinnati beat Chivas 3-1, and Nashville beat Club America on penalties after a 3-3 regulation.
Oh.
So, and if you add on top of that, right, Seattle won the CONCACAF Champions League, and MLS has beaten Mexico in 3 out of 4 Campeones Cup. So is that a trend, or is it a fluke due to the fact that these matches are sort of one-off and crazy?
It's a trend because also the U.S. men's national team has been crushing the Mexican national team lately. So, I mean, it could all of a sudden flip the other direction and they could go on a run for 4 years. But it's kind of unprecedented territory for MLS, to be honest.
Yeah, we haven't won. We won early on in the really weird iteration of the CONCACAF Champions League, but as soon as they made it for real, the Mexican teams have just been obliterating us, and they won the title, right? Seattle beat.
Oh, wow, man. I mean, look at some of these other teams, by the way, like LAFC and even Galaxy. I mean, they look like real teams sometimes. I'm like, damn, I'm a little jealous.
So who do you think is going to win MLS? Cup if it's not
LAFC,
not us.
LAFC. I mean, I'd like to throw Austin in there, but I don't think they've got quite enough horsepower to get it done. They've got a lot of good coaching discipline right now, but I don't know that
I'm really disappointed by that pick because I picked the same. I'd like to disagree with you. I mean, everybody says Philadelphia this because they actually have more points, but Philadelphia is a gimmick team, and God bless Curtin. He's done amazing with that team and what they do, but I just think in the playoffs they're just vulnerable, even the fact that the home field advantage. And I just, maybe they'll do better, but I just don't see them winning MLS Cup. LAFC looks to me like by far the most talented team.
They're definitely the most dangerous. And then, you put Austin and your Philadelphia's in
I
there.
like Austin as my dark horse. If somebody's going to win, they'll take down LAFC in the playoffs, and I think the Western Conference.
Is Galaxy even going to make the playoffs, or
No, I think you can switch it over, but I think they're vulnerable. They're right on the bubble. I think they're probably on the outside looking in.
So LAFC is the favorite, Austin, and then Philadelphia. Even though Philadelphia's been manhandling people, but
they've been crushing people, but.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I put them number 2, honestly, but yeah.
Well, you saw them against us.
Yeah, I did. And that was kind of the scoreline I predicted.
Yeah. Did you catch the USA-Japan match?
I did catch a good portion of it. It was super lackluster. Wow. again, a team that did not look like they were prepared, didn't have
Does
the
it
energy.
look like we're ready to win the World Cup, Mikey Dobbs?
Man, I tell you what, when you watch like these friendlies and these Liechtenstein and Moldova, you're like, man, maybe the U.S. team hasn't progressed as much as I thought they have, man.
Well, in fairness, all the good teams, England got relegated from the Nations League. Do you know this?
Yeah.
They finished last. Hungary, Italy, they lost to Italy. So they've lost like 5 out of 6 matches or something like this. They've looked awful.
I don't
so
think-
who is your World Cup favorites? You know, people, the podcast is going to be, live and going during the World Cup, don't you think?
I have an easy pick for the World Cup.
Okay, let's hear it.
It's Brazil.
Yeah. There's only two really good teams, and one of them's in a little bit of a hot mess at the moment. But
Brazil scares the shit out of me. I just feel like, first off, if you're watching PSG, which I only kind of tune in because they're on TV all the time, and they're stomping people usually 3-1 or 7-1.
I told you, Gaultier.
Yeah, but
That's the coach. You know, you were asking me who do I want for Man United all the time. I said Gaultier. He's the coach now at Paris Saint-Germain, and they are stomping people.
Yeah. But, you know, what you're also seeing, though, I mean, not only a good Messi, but, I mean, and Mbappe is ridiculous, even though I dislike him. Neymar is playing out of his shoes, dude. I mean, he is so good right now.
Vinicius Jr.
and
for
by the way,
Real Madrid is playing out of his mind, too.
Yeah. And, I mean, Neymar is somebody who I love to hate. I mean, I can't stand the guy.
The Neymar role or the Neymar
but at the same
5 roles.
At the same time, man, you've got a guy who he can do 10 rolls after he gets hit. But, I mean, regardless, he is at the top of his game right now. Top of his game. Yeah. I mean, he's playing really well. Like, the touches I've seen him make in some of these highlights, man, I'm like, geez, that is scary. Not to mention the younger crew of Brazilians who I probably don't even.
He just signed for Man United for $100 million.
Probably don't know half of the names, right? That
they
are
still
out there.
got Firmino for Liverpool. They're attacking wise. They are loaded.
Yeah. And who's the Man City goalkeeper? Is he Brazilian?
Yeah. Well, they got both. They have the 2 best goalkeepers in the world. They have Liverpool and Man City.
I mean,
Ederson and
I think pure and simple. I give Brazil 25% chance to win the World Cup.
God,
25% chance to win the World Cup. I mean, that's huge odds, right? I mean,
I have Brazil winning the World Cup as well, Mikey Dobbs. What is the world coming to? It's like we should be coaching. If we're agreeing this much, either spending too much time together or we should be coaching Atlanta United.
You and I have not discussed this.
No, we haven't discussed this at all.
But no, you just feel it coming.
There's only one other team that's really loaded talent-wise, but they're a bit all over the place at the moment. So
the other team that's loaded at talent all over the place, I mean, you got to put France in there, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's my number 2.
But there's a whole. Do you see?
They've got all kinds of mess.
There's a whole drama behind
drama. Mbappe's image, right?
Yeah, no, but I didn't.
He's complaining about it.
Paul Pogba and family put
so Pogba's brother was
on the family.
So Pogba's brother was blackmailing him, and he turned his brother into the police, and then his brother claimed that he was hiring a witch doctor. It's crazy
to curse Mbappe.
And Mbappe, meanwhile, is fighting over the French Federation for his image rights and is threatening not even to play in the World Cup. I mean, it is all kinds of madness.
That's not a recipe for success for France.
No, but they still got Benzema. I mean, who's on the top of his game, like unbelievable. Yeah. That guy's like 100, and he's still amazing. Yeah. So they have talent all over the place. Varane. I mean, they have real talent all over the place, but it's a team that's looking wild. They could win the World Cup. They could go out in the first round. So I agree with you. I think Brazil are the favorites.
And then you got to put England in the mix in there somewhere.
I think England their team is not the same as it was. So Southgate has done really, really well in international competition. He's really, really defensive. And that tends to work in international soccer, right? Because it all gets a little bit tight and whatever. And if you can keep things whatever and, really, really tight, you have enough attacking wise to score a goal here or there, you keep getting through rounds, right? But they've done that coming into the previous two World Cup and European Championships. So World Cup, they were semifinalists. European Championships, they lost in the final. And in both of those, they were coming in with confidence, all the young players. But I don't see that team as confident anymore. I mean, they got a bunch of players who are not even starting for their team. Maguire obviously doesn't start for Man United.
They also have a goalkeeper controversy.
They got a problem in the
US.
goalkeeper. Declan Rice is still a great player, but Rashford's not really truly in form. Harry Kane is good, but he's getting older. Like, it doesn't seem like the team to me anymore. If I'm buying or selling on England, I'm selling. Like, I think they're going to do worse than they've done in the past.
Not against it. Again, my odds are so stacked for Brazil. The other team I think you have to watch out for are the Copa America champions and Messi playing really well and a lot of other young.
Argentina does have a few young players if they're willing to roll the dice. What do you think of our boy Almada getting his first ever international match?
I think it's pretty cool.
He made the last squad before the World Cup, got called up, and got his first ever full international.
So it wasn't like he got chump change. He got full 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Evidently, Messi had some really good quotes about him. Did you read any of those quotes?
Yep.
Said he was mischievous.
Mischievous.
I love that quote.
And if he's mischievous, according to Messi, and he's in the full international Argentinian team, don't you think we should be winning a few more games?
It's not Pineda's fault, though.
No, it's not that.
But we have him for another year, Atlanta United fans, so you've got that coming for you.
Great. Anybody else you got in the World Cup? Anybody else you like?
Well, I have no clue what Germany looks like, but you got to throw them in the pot.
Yeah, the defense.
Do they qualify? I don't know. If they qualified, I'm throwing them
Kimmich, the defensive midfielder, is a real baller.
It doesn't matter. You just put them in the top 5.
They're
easily.
an aging team, though, outside of the.
Doesn't matter.
They're in the process of turning it over.
Doesn't matter. Guaranteed, they will make it.
They'll be fine.
They'll make it through the group stage, and they'll probably pass the quarterfinals. The next thing you know,
they're a quarterfinal team.
Yeah, quarterfinal team, and then anything can happen.
Yeah.
And Germany starts playing like Germany, disciplined.
They really are
simple, compact. They just do what they do, man, every time. And then you got Holland, right?
Holland's not in the World Cup, unfortunately.
Holland is not. That's right.
You mean Erling Haaland or the country of Holland?
Norway's not in the World
yes,
Cup.
Norway's out. So Erling Haaland is not playing. Are you saying the country of Holland?
Italy is
the
not.
Netherlands.
Italy is not in the World Cup either, are they?
No, Italy is.
Are they? They make it?
Oh no, you're right. They did.
Yeah, Italy is not in the World Cup either.
Yeah, you're right.
Italy and the Netherlands didn't make the World Cup.
No, the Netherlands did. There.
That's what I was saying. It was one of them that did make it. So
well, I was saying Erling Haaland is not in the.
You're totally throwing. So Holland is in the World Cup.
Holland, the country, is for sure, and they have a lot of young.
It's
talent.
actually the Netherlands is the country.
Yes.
Holland is the biggest district, or
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So when you said Holland, I assumed you meant Erling Haaland.
Yeah.
Actually, the two best players in the world right now, probably Erling Haaland and Lewandowski, are not. Lewandowski's in the World Cup, but Poland has no chance. Yeah. So they're on terrible sides. So we're not in a situation where the best players. Who is the best player on a side that can win it? Maybe Vinicius Jr. Maybe Mbappe for France.
What is Spain?
Neymar.
What are Spain and Portugal looking like?
Spain's young. Portugal has a good team. Some, we're not, not just Fernandes and Ronaldo anymore. It's, Renato Sanchez and
Belgium.
Belgium's real old. They had their chance, the golden generation, and it's gone. Yeah,
isn't that when it usually happens though? When they're like, they're past their prime, and all of a sudden they finally make their run.
Maybe semifinals. But that doesn't mean they're winning it. Yeah, I like Brazil.
Yeah, they so have the odds for me. I think they're going to crush people.
Yeah,
That's
there's
my
this
prediction.
whole thing,
They are
European
gonna
teams
crush people.
can't win in South America, and South American teams can't win in Europe. But we're not in either. We're in Qatar. That's now changed their name to Qatar.
Qatar. And they at last minute now you can drink in the stadiums. Is that right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
They
kind of
gave
like
into that Budweiser.
it was the same thing that happened in Brazil, right?
Yeah.
They're like, no, Budweiser's like,
We made it a local district temporary for these 2 weeks.
yeah,
You can't stop Anheuser-Busch. I mean,
No.
that's like...
cannot stop the horses.
Yeah, exactly.
Clydesdales overrule.
Right.
All right, man.
Okay.
I think
Well, so it's going to be great. So, maybe no ATL in the playoffs this year, but
we'll talk some World Cup.
we can, console ourselves with the idea that we have the World Cup. And honestly, if Berhalter could really coach, the U.S. does have one of the better squads. We have a phenomenal squad. I mean, Robinson is a huge blow. We have no answer for losing him. But we do have a terrific team. The best team that we've had ever in the World Cup. Ever. Our best finish in the modern era was under Bruce Arena, the quarterfinals.
Yeah. I think the real problem, though, for the U.S., though, is like you can there's 3 players you would put at the top of performance right now. You've got Weston McKennie, right?
Yeah, terrific.
Pulisic.
Yep.
And Brendan Aronson, I would put as our top 3. In terms of guns blazing right now, I think those are our 3 going into the World Cup. You look at other teams, like you mentioned a couple of them, like even France, right? Like you got Benzema, Pogba, Mbappe. Like you're talking like different level. Like you just talk about Mbappe and Benzema, period. Just stop right there at those 2. Like that is such a level above Pulisic and anybody else. Like Pulisic here, Mbappe and Benzema, like
but
different stratosphere.
But we have some young players who might just have the chutzpah, to kind of do it.
No,
like a Claudio, a Gio Reyna.
No, the difference is
he's talented.
No, Benzema here.
I get that.
Mbappe here. As much as I dislike some of these guys, you know what I mean?
But when France won their first World Cup, right? They had unknown players who turned out to be Thierry Henry and Trezeguet and Patrick Vieira, and they were only 19, 21-year-old kids at the time.
Yeah.
Weston McKennie, Tyler Adams,
Gio Reyna. Even Pulisic, he's still 20.
Are they going to be those guys? I don't know, but I don't think they're maybe that kind of quality, but they have just the naivete, if you will, to be not awed by the big stage and to be like, we're here to play, right? We can score goals.
Brendan Aronson doesn't give a hoot.
If
Weston McKennie doesn't give a hoot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he
doesn't.
Neither one of those guys are thinking about what
and Tyler Adams will go kick you around.
Yeah. None of those players are thinking about what their ceiling is. You know what I mean? They're just out there grinding, right? So who knows where
Tim
they could
Weah
go.
can really show up.
Weah is fantastic.
Off the bench, maybe. Or Musa has been terrific.
Musa and Weah, good calls. Yeah. But
and we have attacking talent even down the flanks. Anthony Robertson, Serginho Dest.
Even Turner. I'll throw Turner into that mix.
Yeah, he's now in Arsenal. We have a goalkeeping.
Well, Turner's evidently going to get a lot of gameplay
and
here.
And the center back, we have no answer to Robinson going out. So him and, we were set when he was there, but with him and Zimmerman, but we have no answer to losing him. Yeah. Nobody has stepped up.
All right. You've heard it here, people.
So what's your prediction for the U.S.?
My prediction is we don't make it out of the group. And it's disappointing.
It's hard because Berhalter is likely to, you
didn't expect that from me, did you?
No.
To be the pessimist.
No, I wasn't. I'll take the over on that.
Because
I think even with Berhalter, our team is, England doesn't scare me. Wales is terrible. We're going to get out of our group. We might win our group.
Iran and England. We got to get. Those are tough games.
Not good. Wales is not good. England is good, but I think England I'm really down on here. They are all kinds of problems.
We're undefeated against England.
Yeah. So I think we might win our group, although Berhalter will find a way.
Yep.
So I say we win our group, and This team is talented enough to be a quarterfinal team.
So do you think Gio's back, locked in for the lineup?
Yeah, he's been starting for Dortmund.
Yeah, but does Greg Berhalter make him part of the team?
Who knows? First, maybe we should see our squad before we make predictions.
Yeah.
And on that note, coaching-wise,
Yeah.
I think we've talked about it all.
All right, people. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Yep.